This video is sponsored by YouTube. Without further ado, let's dive into the questions, and thanks for joining me. Have you seen Cobra Kai yet? And if you have, what did you think? Now, before I answer that question, I first want to talk about the sponsor of this video, and it's another YouTube original series, and it's called Origin. Alright, so I'm going to do my crappy trailer announcer voice for this, and here it goes. Launching this fall, Origin is an all-new intergalactic space thriller starring Tom Felton. This series is a chilling sci-fi thriller set in the near future where a habitable planet, Thea, has been discovered 5 light years from Earth and is now 25 years in the colonization. But anyway, I got a chance to watch the first 2 episodes before they premiere, and the show does come out this November, and I really enjoyed the show. It's a very gritty, dark take. It's almost reminiscent to the movie Passengers, but much more violent and scary with a little bit of aliens mixed in there. And like I said, I did get a chance to watch the first 2 episodes before they premiere, and if you guys want to hear my in-depth thoughts on the show and hear me break down some of the characters on the show and just give you more thoughts about what I thought of the first 2 episodes, you can watch that video by clicking the link down below in the description box that goes to the Origins series YouTube channel. So if you want to watch that video, go to their channel, give them a subscribe, and watch my video and leave a comment of, I don't know, whatever you want, I guess. Just tell me what you think about what I think. That's a weird way to look at it. It's a dark and brooding sci-fi adventure thriller. I really enjoyed it. So once again, link down below. Origin premieres November 14th on YouTube. This right here is what makes videos possible. Yeah, so good. So as far as Cobra Kai, I love the show. I can't wait for season number 2. It's a little hokey in some spots, but it's the perfect kind of hokey and corniness that you want from a show like Cobra Kai. And ever since I was a kid watching Karate Kid, I always thought Johnny had the much more interesting story. I wanted to know more about Johnny. And when he swept a leg, I thought to myself, you did what it took, Johnny. You did what it took. And really, Daniel was the bully of that movie. But my favorite thing about Cobra Kai was the scene where Johnny is sitting in front of the convenience store and he sees this kid getting bullied, and he stands up and really beats all the bullies up and saves the kid, and there's 1980s music playing. Just phenomenal. I loved it. Can't wait for season number 2. Best and worst movie of the year. Let's go. Why do I sound like Arnold when I'm thinking? I would probably go with A Quiet Place as my favorite movie thus far of the year, off the top of my head. And the worst movie of the year for me was The Predator. Now, I would say Open House is a worst movie. That was an abomination against humanity, which is on Netflix right now. Don't ever watch that movie. But as far as a movie I wanted to be good, that I had expectations for, The Predator is for me the worst movie of the year. I gave it a D-, but I easily probably should have given it an F. Favorite 70s horror film? That's probably the easiest question I'm going to answer for the Q&A, but I'm going to go with Halloween, the original. That really defined the slasher genre of films, and the technicality of that film and the precision and the simplicity of it, it's like the perfect movie in so many ways. That opening Steadicam shot where you get the POV of young Michael Myers, I love it. I love it. And by the way, I actually just got the 4K of Halloween, and I'm sort of savoring the flavor to watch it a little bit closer to Halloween. I'm thinking about doing a double feature. Now hear me out. Hocus Pocus and the original Halloween. That right there just proves I'm insane. Who watches both of those movies back to back? It makes no sense, but this guy does. And by the way, on a side note, when you listen to the Halloween theme music during the month of October, no matter what you're doing, it makes everything scary. I listened to it the other day when I walked down the street to get my mail. I ran on the way back. I was terrified. What is your worst movie theater experience, either from moviegoers or disappointing movie? I could talk about disappointing movies for 6 hours, but I think I'll give you another one of my worst movie theater experiences. And over the years, I think I've shared a few during Q&A videos, but I don't think I've ever shared this one. So here it goes. The year was 2006, and the movie was Casino Royale. I love that film. I think it's the best James Bond film ever made. I think it's perfect. It's the perfect 3-act movie that feels like it's 3 different movies in one, but each one is just phenomenal in every single way. But with all that said, I went to the theater. It was a hot summer day, and I remember, did it come out in the summer? I think it did. November 17th, 2006. Okay, so I guess it was November. But either way, that does make more sense. Okay, So it was November, and here's what happened. We went into the theater, and it must have been a cold day, and they turn on the heat in the movie theater, which is, it makes sense logistically speaking. And they turn it up to probably, it felt like 95 degrees. And we're sitting in the movie, it's a very long movie, and about an hour and a half into the movie, it was just me and 6 of my friends watching the movie. It was very late at night, it was one of the latest showings that they had for the movie. And we all are sweating, we're sticking to our shirts, we're perspirating, and we go complain to the manager, and the manager's like, yeah, there were some old people in there earlier and they were cold, so we turned up the heat. And then I say, okay, that's great. I have blood in my veins and I don't have an iron deficiency. Can you maybe turn the heat down so it doesn't feel like a sauna? And they say, sure. So I look over 10 minutes later, and my friend Chris just decides to take his shirt off. Keep in mind, it's only us in this very late showing of the theater. So my friend Chris is taking his shirt off, he takes his shoes off, and he's sitting in the theater like it's a sauna, and we're all dripping sweat by this point. I never took off my shirt, but that was a miserable experience, and had the movie not been as good as it was, I would have left an hour and a half into the movie because it was a miserable, tiresome experience. And I remember watching the movie when it eventually came out on DVD and watching it in the air conditioning and thinking, whoa, this really makes the movie that much better. What do you do that you haven't told your viewers that does not involve movies, TV shows, or the gym? That's a good question, and I picked that question specifically because I wanted to start answering questions that were much more personable and open up to you guys a little bit. And as you guys know, I was in a relationship, and that relationship ended, and I moved here. And so I went on a lot of dates since moving here last winter, and a lot of dates. I mean, tons of dates. I mean, I was just swiping all day. All day. It was like a part-time job. And I went on many, many very interesting dates, and so that was, I guess, time-consuming. But other than the gym, or watch movies, or do something that relates to YouTube, and occasionally hang out with friends, I don't do much. I'm pretty boring. I'm actually a very boring person outside of all of that. But I like to make mundane situations as fun as possible. So if I go to Walmart, I treat that like an action adventure. You know, I'm in Walmart wearing leather pants, doing my best Kevin Costner Robin Hood Prince of Thieves impression with Morgan Freeman. That makes no sense, but I just wanted to do this. My name is Morgan Freeman. And that's where I'm going to leave that right there. But yeah, but besides that, you know, I go to Best Buy sometimes, I go to Walmart, I go eat, and I watch a lot of YouTube videos. That's my life. Not that crazy. Do you enjoy where you live now? Ever since you moved closer to Stuckman, what's the biggest difference between there and where you moved from? So that question more or less relates to the previous question. The biggest difference is I used to live in South Carolina, now I live towards Cleveland, Ohio. And the great thing about South Carolina was winters were very mild, it didn't get that cold, and if it did, it only lasted like a day or two. Here in Cleveland, I remember the day I moved here, it was January 3rd, it was -10 out, and we had to move everything from a U-Haul truck a block down into my apartment. And that's another thing that's a big difference, is this is the first apartment I've ever lived in my life. In South Carolina, I had a house, it was a big house, but it was kind of a little bit overwhelming, and you sort of feel like you're wasting the space in such a large house that you don't really utilize. And in my apartment, I utilize every square inch of it. And I know this sounds weird, and I just want to share some weird thoughts from my head to you guys, as usual. But I've always enjoyed the smaller environments. It's like when you're a kid and you get to play forts, when you build a fort with couch cushions. So I feel like I'm living in a giant fort right now. Does anyone else understand what I'm talking about? What are your thoughts on upcoming superhero movies, examples like Aquaman, Spider-Man, and the Joker movies? Let's quickly talk about the Joker movie starring Joaquin Phoenix. I am excited for that. The little clips I see of Joaquin Phoenix, like smoking cigarettes, dressed like the Joker, walking down 1970s subway alleyways, that looks great. It reminds me of like a Scorsese film from the 1970s. I hope it has the tone of Taxi Driver, but you replace that character with the Joker. That's the vibe I'm hoping that I get from that movie. And if I get that, I will be blown away. And I don't think Joaquin Phoenix would pick a bad movie to do. And I think he read the script and saw something there, so that gives me a lot of hope for the movie. And I'm just glad that we won't have to see Jared Leto as the Joker again. Now, as far as Aquaman goes, it looks, if you had to just have a parody movie of what a superhero movie would look like, the Aquaman trailer reminds me of that. It looks like that's a superhero movie. I'm excited to see it, though, based on the director, James Wan. I think the action will be a lot of fun, and I liked the newest trailer purely for the fact that we see Aquaman in his original suit and colors. Hey, it's not that hard. You just do it, and they did it, so I appreciate that. Have you seen Heavyweights? What is that, a deli meat? Of course I've seen Heavyweights. I love that movie. Were you nervous about starting YouTube? Yeah, I think I was nervous and excited about starting YouTube, and I actually think I started YouTube 8 years ago this month. 8 years ago. What? What happened? Where did time go? And some of you have been subscribed to me since I started making YouTube videos, and that almost brings a tear to my eye, and I appreciate that, guys. But yeah, I remember I started one YouTube channel, and it was like a crappy little channel. I had like one little vlog video in my basement, and I put up some old videos I made in college on that channel, and I wasn't really an active channel, and I deleted it, and then a year later, I started this channel, the Flick Pick, and I remember starting it and keeping it a secret and not really telling anyone about it, and I just wanted to have some fun with it. I wanted to talk about movies. I remember watching a few other people on YouTube talking about movies, and I thought, hey, I can probably do that too. But to answer your question, I remember ordering a crappy flip cam off Amazon, and I remember shooting my first video. And I was nervous. I felt like an audience of 50 million people were watching me make this one video, but really it was just me and a flip camera. And the thing that I learned later on was no one's actually watching you. It's just you and a camera. And whatever mistakes you make, editing will fix all of those. So if you don't know what you're talking about, just edit it, John, and say the same thing 15 times over and over until you get it right. So I learned that lesson, but now it's easy. It's fun to talk to a video camera, but back then it was a little bit scary, but at the same time, you don't really have that many expectations on you, so it also is easier in a way. So yeah, I was definitely nervous about starting YouTube, and I was very nervous about my friends and family finding my videos, which they eventually did, and they did make fun of me, just a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't take anything away. I'm glad I did it when I did it, and it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. All right, so I think that's going to wrap up this Q&A. As always, guys, thanks for the great questions. I very much do appreciate it, and I want to start doing maybe at least one Q&A a month on this channel, just to sort of connect with you guys and give you a little bit more personal insight to me and answer some questions I don't really get to talk about on YouTube. And for me, Q&A videos are the sort of videos I like to watch on YouTube, so I think I should make more of those types of videos. So, as always, guys, leave your thoughts, your opinions down below. Oh, and before I go, make sure you check out the Origins Series YouTube channel. Once again, I'll put the link down below. Go there, watch my video on their official channel where I talk about the first 2 episodes of the Origin YouTube series. It's a good time. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time.